Hey everybody, it's Misha. Yay, I'm back. It's Monday afternoon, about 3 p.m. Sorry for the delay. There were lots of things going on over here as usual. But I want to talk about insulin resistance, what's going on with you guys. There's this whole list up here. Um, if you're suffering with anything on that list, let me know. Also, check and see where everybody's from. Um, I really love hearing from, people around the world, and I even love hearing from people who are right here close to me. I'm in Maryland. Now, I grew up on the West Coast or in the Pacific Northwest in a little town in northern Idaho, and I'm all the way out in Maryland now. And I love it out here. I was expecting city, huge stuff different, but there's just as much country and woods and streams and everything out here as there was at home. And I love that. In fact, we drove by a really cool hiking trail that my kids never told me about this weekend on the way up to Pennsylvania to some cornfields. And I'm like, I've been here a year and nobody ever mentioned this. So next weekend, I'm going to go on a hike to this place called the King and Queen Seat. And I'll try and do some videos, but I'm so excited. It's beautiful out here. So where are you guys all coming from? Where in the world are you? Are you here in the US, Canada? We've had Scotland, we've had Australia, we've had New Zealand, I've had the UAE. So where are you guys at? And let's get this thing started. Today I'm going to be talking about insulin resistance. Hey, spiritual aura. You know, I love our country, but I love to travel and visit other people's countries too. Our country is so diverse. Where I grew up is so much different than here. The states out here on the East Coast, and this is not a negative thing, their states are about the size of our counties back home. So you have PCOS. Do you understand how PCOS is linked to insulin resistance? And would you like me to go over that? Because this is what I love to do. You guys, I love to talk about insulin resistance and link all these things in. In fact, I was listening to a scientist talk last night. You know how they've now linked Alzheimer's into insulin resistance, and I've been talking about Parkinson's for a while. The studies are showing, and they were saying that within the next 10 or 15 years, they would be willing to bet that insulin resistance is led into as a cause of even Parkinson's. So PCOS, do you understand why insulin resistance is causing your PCOS? And you guys, this channel is not about, I'm not about like making anybody feel bad. Look, we don't know what we don't know until we know what we don't know, right? So we all have to learn, and that's what this is about. This is about helping you understand what's happening, and then I'm going to be going over the protocol that I use to help you understand how to overcome all of this. So, spiritual aura. Women and men process hormones very differently. There's a couple of things that are going on with our sex hormones. Number one, estrogen is like a protectant for women against insulin resistance. But when we have insulin resistance, it starts to downregulate the amount of estrogen we put out. How does it do that? Well, all of our hormones start out as androgens, or think of like testosterone, and then it gets converted in our ovaries into the estrogen that we need as ladies. With insulin resistance, there's a number of things that are happening that is not allowing your body to cue that transition of androgens into estrogens. So now you have excess testosterone. You may have problems with hair on your face. Obesity is a problem with it. But your hair is falling out in male pattern baldness. So in different cycles in our ovaries as women, we have eggs starting to be produced. And when they get to the size where they're like, okay, we have eggs here that need to be produced, we have this follicle stimulating hormone that comes out. And when that happens, our eggs are growing. And now your body's like, ooh, there's just one egg, and it's doing really good. And so we're there. And then your body cues more of a luteinizing hormone to come out. Now, yes, I'm going to tell you that there still is hope. So In that process, though, there's cues from your ovaries for your body to produce more estrogen, because estrogen is what's creating the difference between those hormones of the follicle stimulating and the luteinizing. But when your body can't convert that estrogen, now those eggs are hanging out in your ovaries too long. And this is like such a brief overview, right? But your ovaries are not dissipating like they're supposed to, or your not ovaries, your eggs are not. They're falling into the lining of your ovaries. And when they do, it embeds in the tissues of your ovaries and it causes cysts. Because instead of basically being dissolved and being pushed out, that's not happening now. So now you have high testosterone, you have low estrogen, you have eggs that are falling into your ovaries causing this painful period. Your body's not getting the cue that, yeah, see, this all links into that as well. So then now your body's not getting the cue that this egg is ready. So now your periods are all over the place. They're way longer than they need to be. And because of all of this stuff, they're extremely painful. So one of the biggest things we can do is to get the insulin under control, and that helps regulate all of those hormones. Because I'm going to stop 1 second. Everything to do with all of this has to do with hormones, and insulin is just a hormone. So it's a hormone, it's not a sex hormone, but it's a hormone that's a primary hormone in the body. When we have too much insulin present, that insulin takes precedence over every other hormone in our body. And it's kind of like this, I say it like a bully on the playground. In normal amounts, insulin is an amazing thing for us. Okay. Insulin, I'm here every day at 8:30 to 3. Okay, so and then there's ways. If you go to my profile, tap on my profile picture, when the box comes up below, tap on that again, and then there is a right under the red lights in my profile, there is a link where you can get a hold of me and text me, and we can continue that conversation for you. But for the rest of you, then with this PCOS happening, so painful periods, you're told you can't have kids. Before you go, I want to tell you that the protocol that I'm utilizing, there are a number of young women who were told that they were infertile, were never going to have families and all that, and their periods are normal, and some of them have already birthed their children, carried them to term, done wonderfully when they were told they were never going to have children. And what they did was a protocol that helped them get their insulin under control. So if you want to know more about that, let's talk, because I think it could really help you. And look, the protocol that I do has a 90-day money-back guarantee. So if it's not working for you, if it's not fitting your lifestyle, you get your money back. So why not? And it's based on real foods. It's gluten-free and it's halal. It's plant-based. Okay. All right, it's painful during that time. Yeah. So periods are painful. I had PCOS. I'm 59. They didn't understand what was going on, why I was having problems with fertility. They weren't really talking about PCOS back then. Now we know exactly what it was. And we also can see when we start trailing my history back that I was insulin resistant since my teens. You guys, this can happen to you for years because I was healthy. Otherwise, because I was active and I was eating, I'm not always eating perfectly, I staved off it turning into diabetes for probably 40 years, but I ended up there. In the meantime, I lost joints, I lost my gallbladder, I had problems with periods, I had problems with fertility, my hair was falling out, my teeth were bleeding, my eyes were failing. All of that stuff was happening because this thing called insulin resistance is under the surface, and most doctors are not yet testing for it, although they're becoming more and more aware of it. So that insulin resistance causes all of those, or can contribute to all of this stuff up here. So skin tags, dark skin patches, melasma, arthritis, anxiety, depression, like just across the board. You guys would be surprised. I was shocked. I started the protocol that I'm talking about to help get my diabetes under control and to hopefully lose some weight. As a result, all of that stuff got better for me. That was all of that, except for the Parkinson's and the gout. All of that was on my list. I was starting to show signs of Alzheimer's. My kids were terrified. You guys, it was a crazy time in life, but I feel better now than I did in my mid 40s. So insulin resistance really links to all of it. What do you do when you have a spike? So I need more clarification on what you mean when you have spike. So when you have a glucose spike, um, my daughter also does this. Her name is Minda, and I would love if you guys follow her. But if you have any Spanish-speaking people, she does this as well. She's actually finishing up her nutritionist degree, and we have these weird conversations. It's kind of cool that mom and daughter get to have these geeky, weird conversations that fit our personality. But it all leads into this. So the other thing I want you guys to understand is when we talk about all of these things, it's not a medication problem, right? It's not that you're lacking in a medication. So why are we allowing doctors to give us, I got to turn this down just a little. That's the wrong way. Why are we allowing doctors to give us medication for something that's a dietary disorder? So I feel like wrong thinking, and the metabolic scientists and doctors that I talk to also think that it's wrong thinking, because we cannot fix dietary disorders by medicating them away. We have to take care of what we're putting in our face. We have to understand that what we're given to put in our face is very different from what it's supposed to be, and it's causing problems. So new science, old science, and you'll hear people say 88% of us are metabolically unhealthy. That was from a report published in 2018. The newer report, I believe it was published in 2021, says 93% of us are metabolically unhealthy. And metabolically unhealthy means we have this dysregulation of insulin, because insulin is our primary metabolic hormone. So if 93% of us are metabolically unhealthy and suffering, let's think about this. If we had kids who were going to school and they were failing school because 93% of the kids were failing, would you go to your kid and be like, you are just not trying hard enough, there's something wrong with you? Or would you be like, 93% of kids are failing? Not 93% are succeeding and my kid is failing, but 93% of kids are failing. Would you go to the school and be like, something is wrong here? There can't be this many kids failing if everything is right. And yet that's exactly what we're doing to us as a society with our food. We have to understand that our food has been manufactured, it's been modified, it's been changed. I'm not going to make the food industry the big bad guy in all of this. I don't think they've done us a great service, but we have been wanting bigger, better, badder, more tasty food, instead of understanding that food is causing the illness. Or no, sorry, I just read a message, so let me answer this message. But our food is causing the problem. Our food is converting into sugar too quickly because the food industry has complied with our wishes. Fiber is bitter, fiber is crunchy, it's not juicy, it's not sweet, it's not all of those things. So if you go look up what our foods used to look like, you will see that peaches used to be the size of like the size of the end of this, and now they're bigger than my fist, and they're juicy and they're sweet. Watermelons used to have fibers and seeds running throughout it. It wasn't just this big juicy red pulp. That's because all of those nutrients have been taken out and made it much higher in glucose and stripped the fiber away. And remember, fiber, we're going to come back to that because that's the key. More and more scientists are starting to say it's the one nutrient that's being ignored that could do us the most good and actually increase our immunity and our longevity. So Dan over on Facebook said, sometimes his blood sugar gets so low that his body gets shaking really bad. So what's happening with that is, and it's going to take a while for that to start to normalize for you. You guys, I want you to understand a few things about blood sugar rise and fall, okay? So Dan is having this blood sugar drop. It's called reactive hypoglycemia, and it's caused by having too much insulin in the system and not getting in enough fiber. So when we have food that's not protected and slowed down by fiber, a natural substance that's supposed to be there, it converts into glucose too quickly and drives our insulin up really high. And then we're being told to eat every 2 hours to keep our metabolism rolling and all of that. And then what's happening is we're continually spiking that insulin. So now the insulin level is always high like this. But what happens then, Dan, is when you eat food and your insulin level is already high, your sugar is going to convert really quickly and it's going to deposit into your bloodstream. But guess what? Insulin is already there. So insulin's going to be like, yay, party time, and it grabs all that sugar and it delivers it, and it drops that blood sugar in your system too quick because insulin never went down and isn't rising and falling with the blood sugars anymore. We've just pumped it up so high that it's always there. So now what happens is you get that glucose delivered to your cells, but in an insulin resistant state, your cells are not wanting to take it up anymore. So every cell in the body needs energy to grow. Insulin is the transporter that takes that energy to your cells. But when the cells are resistant, like I'm not having what you're bringing, then insulin starts storing it as fat. But in the meantime, insulin's done its job. It's taken its tanker truck and it's delivered all that sugar and cleared it out of your bloodstream. So now you have a meal and your blood sugar shoots way up, and then the insulin delivers it because it's already too high and your blood sugar drops. It's called reactive hypo or low glycemia, low blood sugar. And it's a direct result of insulin resistance. So is eating every 2 hours really the solution to that? No, that's causing more of that problem. What you have to do is understand that you've got to eat fiber with every meal, and hopefully before you eat, every single time you eat, you understand that you've got to get fiber in your face. You've got to. And then when you get that fiber in your face, what happens is it creates a gel matrix in the bottom of your gut that acts like a prophylactic. So this gelatin mass is sitting in your gut. Now you're eating the food that you eat and masticate, chew, goes all through your gut, hits that gelatin mass, gets encapsulated, and it slows down from it just railroading through your system. And now you have a glucose spike that's slower and it lasts a little bit longer, so your insulin never has to go as high. But in the point you're in now, you have got to start getting those blood sugars down. And what they usually say is, oh, you need to go have some orange juice or something to get that blood sugar back up, right? But now when you're doing that, you're actually causing more of the problem. So Dan, if you're shaking, yes. But you know what might help you with that blood sugar? And you guys understand your body is amazing. Your body, unless there's some dysfunction going on, it is going to do the right things. So maybe some proteins to allow that blood sugar to come back up more naturally, slowly, and getting fiber in so that you're getting that sugar in, but it's getting it more delivered to your body. And in time, you want to start to get that blood sugar, that sugar out of your system altogether. So the fact that you're having reactive hypoglycemia tells me how insulin resistant you really are, and that you've got to get it under control, or that's just going to continue to get worse, and you're going to continue to try and dump orange juice or a candy bar or something in there to get your blood sugar back up, right? But then the same thing happens again. So then you're in this negative cycle of just constantly putting this sugar into your face. So we need to stop that cycle, and we need to slow down how those sugars hit your body. Of course, if you're starting to feel like you have headaches or you're fatigued and you're just going to crash or you're shaking, those are warning signs. But I want to share something with you guys. I started playing with fasting a lot this year to try and help my body heal from a number of like I've been insulin resistant for a long time. So my body is gone through a lot. So when I was doing my fasting, I got curious. So I started checking my ketones and I started checking my blood sugars while I was fasting. I did like a 7-day fast, then I did a 10-day fast, then I did a 5-day fast. And I would check my blood sugars and my ketones. I was shocked that even when I hadn't eaten anything, and I'm just drinking water, that my blood sugars would rise and fall. Okay, well, it makes sense, but we just don't think of it that way. We think of eat, our blood sugars go up. But when you're in a fasted state, your body is cueing you to release sugar from the stored places or convert things that it's stored in back into sugar so that it can be utilized for energy in the body. So mine, when we looked at the chart of my blood sugars, it wasn't even spiky. It was just this nice like rise and fall of blood sugars. It would drop down to about 60. And the first couple of times I'm like, oh, crud, that's really low. It's not that low. In the absence of having those headaches and that fatigue and stuff, that's really not that low. Your body naturally goes through those cycles. So when you see your blood sugar dropping like that, it's not the time to just run and throw more sugar in your system. Understand that your body's going to kind of hit a critical low, and it's going to be like, oh, okay, time to utilize those fat stores. And we have to train it to do that, but we haven't trained it to do that right now. And then it will start to raise up that blood sugar. And mine would go back up to like about 120. So it would have this nice peak and valley motion in my blood sugars between 60 and 120 in a fasted state, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 days into my fasting window. So my body was doing its job. It's like, okay, we're going to utilize all this energy. Oh, we've gotten down so far that we need more energy. It's going to release more energy. So unless there's something disrupting that cycle in your body will take care of it. If it's getting really low where your blood pressure is dropping, then yeah, you're going to have to get something in your body to start to bring that back online. Okay, so be careful, pay attention to the clues your body has. But the numbers themselves, if they're low, it doesn't necessarily mean a bad thing. It means your body is cycling through and starting to actually, when you allow those blood sugars to get a little low like that, then your body's pulling that stored energy out of your fat cells and whatnot and putting it back into your system. That was kind of lengthy, but Dan, does that make sense? So there's that. Now the protocol that I use is actually, I'm going to show that with you guys. So we've talked about fiber, we've talked about energy. I was kind of like Dan, like you guys, and Dan probably experiences this too. How many of you guys have eaten a meal and feel like, oh my gosh, I'm just so full, got to unbuckle my pants a little, got to take that down because I'm just so full that I can no longer fill in my clothes. And yet a half an hour later, you are hungry. And in the meantime, you've gotten chills and you've gotten fatigued and you're like, what's going on? Well, I used to feel like somebody poured cold water over me. Yeah. So when that's happening, that's a factor of this insulin dysregulation in your body. So in order to help me with that, in order to get my body back to where I don't have those, I never feel chills after I eat anymore. A number of these other symptoms, which I'll go over, I don't experience anymore. And all I do is I have a tea that I drink in the morning, and I'm actually having a second one right now. Because I can, because it's food and it's causing good in my body and not causing harm in my body like a lot of the medications. So I had one this morning. I'm having another one now. Why this tea? The tea is a South American tea from Argentina that is actually proven to have anti-cancer, antioxidant activity in it, as well as neuroprotective expression in the brain, so that now you're having feelings of wellness, well-being, of happiness. You have a better activity of serotonin and dopamine in your brain, production and uptake of it. But it's also shutting down your hunger by allowing you to go through this natural process of using your own fat for fuel and kicking out your own ketones to do just that. So I use that tea in the morning and I do some fasting. And then normally I eat about noon. So then before I eat, we talked a little bit about fiber, because I can't get in 7 or 8 different types of fiber and make sure that I have the right ones to regulate my blood sugars and all of that. I supplement. So I use this. This gives me 7 different fibers, soluble and unsoluble. And I was just listening to, I think it was Tom DeLauer talk about fiber. and how even 3 grams of the right kind of fiber can make a huge difference in both your immunity and your blood glucose regulation. And another, I think it was, I don't know, don't quote me, but I think it was Dr. Hyman who was talking about how the uptake of fiber in our diets, the right kinds of fiber, can increase our longevity by 10 to 15 years. Fiber is one key nutrient, one super nutrient that nobody's paying attention to seriously, and yet it can do the most good for our health. Okay, so fiber, I drink that 10 minutes before every meal, every time I eat, and that's it. So a tea that I drink in the morning, I do some intermittent fasting. I have a fiber before I eat my first meal, a fiber before I eat my second meal. I don't snack, I don't do all of that, and I've reversed my diabetes. I've lost 50 pounds. I have reversed some joint damage, and ask me about that if you're interested in joint damage, because I've had 3 lower body joint replacements, and the one that was supposed to get done last year doesn't have to be done now. My blood pressure went from 180 over 150 every day down to this morning it was 119 over 74, which was a little bit high for me because usually it runs 112 over 74. I am not on any medications. This is it. I do these things, address my insulin with some intermittent fasting and moving my body, and that's it. It's given me my life back. I'm 59 years old and I feel better than I did when I was 45. So, does anybody have questions about any of that? The one thing I do want to mention is there's a 90-day money back guarantee on the system. There's a low price guarantee and a quality guarantee. And then when you purchase through my profile, you get access to me, texts and calls and emails and stuff from me to help you that you're not doing this alone. When you buy on Amazon, eBay, Walmart, I've had people call me and be like, Misha, I bought it and you've never called me. Well, you bought it on Amazon, didn't you? From an unauthorized distributor, and how would I know? Now you don't get any of the guarantees. And unfortunately, I save my time for the people who are trusting me with giving them information. So please use my link, and it gets you all of that access to me. And literally people text me and call me all times of the day. If I'm available, I answer, but I will answer back within the day. Okay, so let's talk about these pictures up here really quick. So that's me over on the left-hand side. I started out at about 270 pounds, and I'm more than 50 pounds down from there. The gal in the middle, a good friend of mine, she has lost 50 pounds, but see that tummy? That's an insulin-resistant tummy. See that tummy on me? That's an insulin-resistant tummy. I just got a message from a lady before I jumped on this live, and she says her husband's tummy looks like this, but he's not overweight otherwise. This is a sign of insulin resistance. So she's lost 50 pounds. I've lost 55. Cindy has lost 120 pounds. We're all different. And so that's the other thing, is understand that your body and what's happened to you and the environment you've lived in is very different from anyone else's. Give it all time. Okay. So, but all of us, this is all we did. I was on the phone with a dear friend last night, and she was so excited. She's like, I lost 30 pounds since December, which to me, oh, that's okay. That's okay. I thought she was doing it naturally. She said her doctor gave her this, something. And I'm like, Ozempic? And she said, yeah. So then I had to go into this thing of educating her about Ozempic. And you guys understand, Dr. Fung, who wrote the obesity code, the diabetes code, the cancer code, will say and has said many, many times, you cannot fix a dietary disorder with medication. Okay? Fixing what's wrong in the diet, the stuff that's been stripped out, is the only way to fix these things, to cure these things, to reverse these things. My diabetes is reversed. So Dan is asking, can I throw more light about hotness of feet? I would actually have to do some looking into it, because are your feet swelling? Do you have neuropathy? So there's a couple of things happening. Not only are you impacting the blood flow in your body, it impacts the lymph flow in your body, but it's causing insulin resistance is causing a misfiring of both nerves and neurons, so brain and nerves. And those nerve problems, that the misfiring of that can cause that tingling electric sensation where you're having that neuropathy in your feet. Okay. But with gout, it's also causing a problem with your urine, your conversion of uric acid, of your kidneys being able to filter and get that out of your body. And so it builds up and you have gout. I will be sharing a video today or tomorrow with a gentleman, Coach Hoyd, who both had stage 3 kidney disease. He had gout. He had hypertension. He was having, I believe he was having testosterone problems, but he's been able to reverse all of that and not have to go through dialysis because he caught it soon enough and all he did was the system. His neuropathy is gone. His gout is gone. He's no longer having to do dialysis. So as a good friend said today, like diabetes, now, how many of you guys have been told that diabetes is a long-term progressive and chronic and that you cannot reverse it? And I'm talking about type 2. That's a lie. Diabetes type 2 can be reversed. It's driven by our food. So when we address our food and we start to address what's going on there, we start to turn that around. Kidney disease, until you have the total kidney failure, you can turn that around and reverse it. Arthritis, I'm living that can be reversed. There's so many things that you guys just don't know that your body can heal from and regenerate from because they want to put you on medications, they want to do surgeries, they want to do whatever, or they're just not well enough educated about it and you're suffering for it. You became a pescatarian. So Nancy is saying, yeah, Mark Sauer, let's talk about that. Let me answer Nancy. She says she became a pescatarian in May, mostly eats plant-based meals, limits sugar, yet cannot lose weight at a total loss. So let's talk about that real quick, and then I'll talk about arthritis and diabetes. So Nancy, I have a good friend. I don't know. I don't think her picture is up here because the picture she sent me is just not a high quality. She lives in Texas. She's been pescatarian, eats clean, the whole thing. And she's done it for years, but she was like you. She just felt like she needed to lose another 10, maybe 15 pounds, couldn't get it off, had some other things going on, was really skeptical. She started the system and she actually wrote a children's nutrition book. She's a very smart lady. She started the system and she was able to drop the last of that weight. Some of the bloating and stuff that was happening went away for her. Now, why? Because when we look at even our raw organic foods, they're very much changed from what they used to be. And that means we're not getting the fiber and the phytonutrients that we should be, even when we think we're eating clean organic foods. Okay, there's just some gaps still there. So the protocol that we're doing allows us to put some of that back and allows our bodies to start relating to food in a way that it was always meant to until we started messing with our food. So, and actually Dr. Bickman over on Twitter posted something the other day. Now he's not going for Dr. Bickman, by the way, when I say that, you guys might not know who Dr. Bickman is. So he wrote this book, Why We Get Sick, one of the top metabolic scientists in the world. He's a proponent of red meat and it's actually not causing diabetes. Red meat, he's finding, is actually helping that. So you get to make your choice. But if you're doing pescatarian because you're trying to fight off diabetes, they're starting to show science that that is not true, that the fatty meats are actually really good for you. Guys, cholesterol is not from the fat in your food, it's from the sugar. The cholesterol that's causing you damage is created by your body in relation to sugar. It's not fat turning into cholesterol in your arteries. There was that correlation for a long time, and science is showing that to not be true. So Nancy, what my friend who was pescatarian did, and she was never obese, she just had some extra weight, right? Couldn't get it off, is the same thing I'm doing. A tea in the morning and a pre-meal drink before she eats anything, even though she eats raw organic foods. She doesn't cook a lot of the foods. She buys it from the farmer's market. She, like you said, pescatarian, but it's absolutely helped her. So Mark, arthritis and diabetes. So Insulin resistance comes before diabetes. We need to understand that. Most people don't know that insulin resistance comes first and diabetes is downline from insulin resistance. When you have insulin resistance, it causes a disruption in your synovial fluid that lubricates your joints, and it causes a thinning, and where your meniscal tissue and your labrum and whatnot are not producing properly. So now they're thinning out. Your joints are achy, and there's also the inflammation that goes on. So we have osteoarthritis, and then we have rheumatoid arthritis, right? So we have less tissue and synovial fluid, and then we have a system where the insulin resistance, inflammation and insulin resistance play off of each other. There's so many things that it's just like this circle effect. So insulin resistance can cause a lot of inflammation in your body, primarily starting from your gut. So when your gut's unhealthy, then that causes inflammation throughout your body. That can land in your joints. Now they're swollen and they're inflamed, and that's causing some rheumatoid arthritis, okay? And lost 60 pounds. So I've lost 55 pounds. She's lost 50 and she's lost 120. And I actually, every time I travel and I pick up that suitcase, the big one that, you can put about 50 pounds in, I'm like, holy crap, that's what I used to carry around on my body every day. That's part of the reason I hurt, right? But there's also the inflammation that's building in your system. About 2.5 months in, I sat down in the summertime. I had put shorts on. I looked down and realized I could see my kneecaps. They weren't all covered in inflammation. And that's all I did was this protocol. And I wasn't eating super clean. Now, I'm going to advocate that you eat as clean as you can, but I'm also going to advocate that you start where you're at. We want this to be simple. I want people to get better and not feel like, oh, this is another thing that I just can't do, and I don't even know how I'm going to get there. That's not what I'm here for. I'm here to help you back to health by helping you understand what the causes are and start stepping you that way. One of my favorite analogies is like our health right now is so bad. It's like somebody dug a big pit and threw us down in there, right? We're down in this darkness, this dampness, this pain. We're aching. We're having problems. We just can't even really see the light. Now somebody throws a ladder down and says, hey, I have a way out for you. Are we going to expect that person to look at the ladder and go, okay, cool, I'm going to step on rung one and that's going to catapult me to the top? No, we're going to expect people to come up that ladder a rung at a time. And that's what I think when I think of the system. It's helping protect you from where you are. And then we start working on, and as you feel better, you want to do better. Okay. You just do. Like last week, I go up to my kids' house every Wednesday for dinner. I brought up Indian food, and I stopped off at this amazing Indian market here in town and got, I know I'm going to murder the name, palak shat, and it's a fried spinach, and I love that. It's like my favorite dish right now. But when it came time for us to have dessert, they like to eat, and then they wait about an hour and they have dessert. I brought them some cupcakes. I chose to have the rest of the spinach dish over a cupcake because my body's just changed in what it. No, Dan, you're not. You're not. How about that low energy? So, yeah, when you have insulin resistance, your body's not able to take up the energy. So we're gonna step it back again really quick. When we eat, our food is energy. You guys, we've learned to create this, like everything in our life right now is such excess. Like, I get it. I like nice things too. We just have such excess. And so we look at food as if it's got to be like this this amazing tasty thing all the time, and we're packing it full of sugars and everything to get these crazy good tastes out of it. But our food is nourishment. Okay, I'm not saying you can't have those crazy good things, but I'm saying we need to understand that our food is energy. When we eat, we're giving our body energy. So how that energy converts, when it converts, is all really important. Now, when you have this thing called insulin resistance, because you're eating food that's converting into energy too quickly, those cells in the body, again, they start to get resistant. They're like, whoop, I don't want any more of this. You are annoying the heck out of me, insulin. You're knocking on my door all the time. I get it. You got energy to deliver, but I don't want it. I need a break from you. And so then the insulin starts storing it as fat. But in the meantime, those cells that really need the energy, they're not getting the energy because they're resistant. And so now you start having muscle wasting. You start having low energy. You start having fatigue and depression in the brain. So low energy is both brain and physiological, right? So your body needs energy and your brain is not functioning clearly. And so you're getting cues for hunger and whatnot, but your energy is low. When you get your insulin under control, your cells will uptake that energy more normally and you have less of that fatigue, right? You get up, you have great energy throughout the day, you're burning fat for fuel, you're not constantly relying on sugar for fuel, and your body is like a well-oiled machine. So think about your metabolism like the light switch over there, okay? So if I walked over and turned that light switch on, and left the lights on in this house all day long, every day, and never shut them off, I wouldn't get sleep. I would get sick of the light. I would be like, I can't do this anymore. The light bulbs would burn out quicker. The wiring would burn out quicker. All of that would happen. So our metabolism is like that light switch. We've got to be able to switch between the light and the dark. And that's not really a great correlation because both hormones in our metabolism have a place and one is really not light or dark, but when insulin is present, we're running on sugar for fuel. The other hormone that we don't talk a lot about, and I'm going to stop right now and we'll talk about that. So we have two primary metabolic hormones, okay? Insulin and glucagon. Insulin is what they call anabolic. It likes things to grow. Think of it like a saver. Glucagon likes to eat things up, but you can also think of it like a spender. Okay, so we're eating food. It comes in the body. Insulin's like, yay, I got a job to do. It delivers the energy and then it protects what it delivered. Okay, it's protecting it. Like, nope, nobody gets to use up that I stored and I worked so hard for. You're not going to go spend that energy that I just put in the body because I worked really hard for it. Now, when we get insulin down, or like I call it put to bed, then while it's sleeping, now glucagon can come out and start utilizing all of that that's been stored. And when we do that, we're running on fat for fuel. Metabolic flexibility means that we're switching between sugar for fuel and fat for fuel. What's happened with most of us today is that we're running on sugar for fuel all the time. And you guys, I'm not just talking about cakes, candies, breads, pastas. So we have three macronutrients in our body. We have protein, we have fats, and we have carbohydrates. So if it's not a protein and it's not a fat, then it is a carbohydrate, okay? So yes, that means fruits, vegetables, breads, all of those things are considered carbohydrates. So when we're eating high amounts of carbohydrates and they don't have enough fiber in them, then it's converting into sugar far too quickly in our system, and that's the problem. So a little side piece here. Fats and proteins need to be paired together when you eat them. Don't eat tons of protein and not have good fats to pair with them, and there's reasons for that. And I can explain that in a little bit. But your carbohydrates need fibers with them. The reason you need fibers with the carbohydrates is because it slows down the conversion of those into sugar in your system. So that's why I do the protocol that I do, because look, I do some intermittent fasting, so I'm not eating all the time. I am more satiated when I do eat now. I'm not gonna lie, I have some treats this weekend. We went to the corn maze and I think I did have a Snickers. But I try to make sure that I'm getting in protein first and then fats and then limit the carbs. Saturday was an imperfect day and I sure felt it. I don't like the way my body feels when I do that, and so I don't as much. Today I've had a high fat, high protein shake first thing, and then I had some sausage and eggs and no carbohydrates with it. And that runs well for my body. And most of us would do well with that. We just don't. Some people would say less than 20 grams of carbohydrates. I'm not going to put you there unless you're really sick and really ready to dive into that. But, and even at that, most people don't need to be at that less than 20 grams of carbohydrates for very long. But that's not something most of us even need to concern ourselves with. So, I don't know why I went there. So I have this tea in the morning. Again, I'm having another one right now. I will still about 8:30, which is when I'm trying to train myself to go to sleep. I will still go to sleep. I will sleep like a baby, wake up in the morning, and I'm not waking up 60 times an hour. I used to have sleep apnea. I had a sleep study. It was 60 times an hour that I woke up. Insulin resistance. Okay. I don't suffer from that anymore. I wake up because I hydrate so much and I have to use the restroom in the middle of the night, and then I go right back to sleep. That has not happened in my entire adult life until the last couple of years. So tea in the morning gives me energy, gives me mental clarity, helps me burn fat for fuel, helps me in a fasted state kick up ketones and utilize that energy, anti-cancer, antioxidant, and neuroprotective gene expression in this one little packet of a single tea that the Argentinians call the food of the gods. It's just that it's 375 times the potency of any bagged tea that you're going to find of the same tea. Then before I eat, I have the pre-meal drink, which is fibers, phytonutrients, vitamins, and minerals that help with my metabolism, help me feel full before I eat, help me stay full longer after I eat so I don't have that breakthrough hunger, and it slows down the delivery of carbs. So there's scientific studies that prove that it slows down a sugar spike by 27% with just one packet. And as a result, slows down that insulin spike. And that's all I've had to do. And that's all any of these ladies did. And there's no medications involved. So back to my wonderful, beautiful friend, who lost 30 pounds because a doctor gave her Ozempic last December and she didn't tell me. She's lost 30 pounds in 10 months? And yet she's lost that much without any medications that are damaging her body. I lost that much in 5 months without damaging my body. She's lost 120 pounds in a year without damaging her body by supporting what's missing in our diet so that our bodies can more naturally act. It really breaks my heart to see all the young ladies on here pushing Ozempic, Mounjaro, Trulicity, all of those things. If you guys really go in and read the PDR, and that's all I'm suggesting is go read the PDR and see the damage that it can cause to your body and then make your choice from there. Now, if you're just in love with the quick weight loss and you don't care that it's damaging your body, there's not much I can do for you. But if you want to get your health under control and understand and address the real root cause, then I can help you with that. Okay. So I know somebody's waiting for me to make a call to them. I'm going to hop off of here unless somebody has questions. I will be back at 8:30 in the morning and we'll do this all again. By the way, again, if you're interested in the system, I'm going to show before we leave how to get to the system that I use. So let me fix all of this stuff. All right. So flip the camera around. Can I get myself under control? I don't know. Maybe I can. All right. So we're going to flip this around. I'm going to show you, and then I will answer any last questions, and then we're going to head out. So if you go to my profile on TikTok, you'll see my picture. And just right underneath the picture on either one of my profiles, just tap that link. That's going to take you to this landing page, the sunflower, because life is bright and sunny and happy, right? Life is good now. 2 years ago, not so much. The first button is where you're going to order it. The others are all the other channels I have that I'm on. Some recommendations, an ebook that helps you whether you're doing the system or not, free to you guys. My website that has a ton of more information on the products if you want to look those up in the meantime. But if you're ready to order or thinking about ordering, you're going to come here. Make sure it says Michelle Fan at the top. And then you want to just click the Buy Now button. And when you click the Buy Now button, you're going to see this. you're going to see this page where you get to choose flavors depending on where you're at in the world. Here in the US, we have a choice between lemon and lemon ginger, 30 of the tea, so you get one every morning, 60 of the pre-meal drink. So that's one before each of your first two biggest meals of the day. Right now it's available in Apple Crush for a very limited time. I would imagine that we'll be out of that by the end of this month. Orange you can get anytime, so I would do the lemon and the Apple Crush. And then you're going to choose between one-time or monthly subscription. Now, it's about $5 a day on monthly subscription. You can cancel that at any time. Nobody's telling you have to do it for 6 months. You get free shipping. You get $5 off. So that's already saving you about $15. You will get an email 5 days before your next one goes out, so you have fair warning. You can change, cancel, do whatever you need at that time. But you're also getting this free hand mixer the first time. And look, as much as I want you healthy, I understand none of us need to spend more money than we need to spend. So save yourself the money and the time. Plus, you're getting 90-day money back guarantee. You're getting low price guarantee. You're getting quality guarantee. We triple test our products at the botanical stage, midway in the process, and before it ever goes out to you to make sure that it has everything in it that we say it has in it, so that you know you're getting something that's really efficacious and usable by your body. Those bagged teas on the shelves don't offer that. Those other canisters of fiber don't offer that, nor do they give you the fibers that you need to do all of this. So I hope that was so helpful today. I will be back in the morning. If you have questions, bring them, ask them. I really am focusing a little bit on mental health this week, you guys. Anxiety, depression, panic attacks, Alzheimer's, and now they're linking Parkinson's more strongly, are all linked as a root cause of insulin resistance. Now, Parkinson's, they're not there yet. The science is leaning that way. But autism, I've already done a number of videos on that. I'm not saying that insulin resistance causes the autism, but there's been a number of studies that show that a mother who is insulin resistant is more likely to have an autistic child, which is a pretty big link. And then when you add insulin resistant father, that relation goes up much more. And I dealt with autistic people for years, as in cared for them. And I know that when we had their diet under control and were taking care of these things that I talk about, their sensitivities and behaviors were much more manageable. And there's one that I dealt with that was nonverbal. She would actually get to the point where she was on the verge of speaking when I could get everybody to manage these things within her. So there's a big link between your brain and insulin resistance, and we're going to be going over that more this week, as well as answering your questions on all of that other stuff. And so show up, ask questions. Thank you guys for the input and the interaction. I always love it when everybody's asking questions and getting answers for themselves, and hopefully your loved ones too, because if you're suffering, or if your loved ones are suffering and you're just frustrated and not sure how you're going to help them feel better, maybe hop on here. And I get it. I've had people take 3 months. I've had people take 6 months. I've had people decide right away that this is what they want to do. It's at your comfort, at your time. But the sooner you start, the better you feel quicker. Okay? So we'll see you guys in the morning. Have a great night. Thanks for joining me this afternoon. And make the most of your day.